time for PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
PetSylvania, happy to be back, and we got a great show planned here today. Hope it works out as well as the outline does. We have a question that we're going to answer a little bit later. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Hills, makers of a variety of high-quality, super premium dog foods, Science Diet, prescription diet line of foods. They have given into the market, the demand for grain-free diets, even though there may not be any logic in that demand. That demand exists out there, and they are now soon to hit the pet food stores shelves. Is a diet called Natural Balance. And when I start recommending diets, I always start with the manufacturer, and I think that's really hypercritical, because I know that they're not going to put something out there that's not going to be good, that's going to have excessive phosphorus, excessive salt. I'm comfortable, though I think it's unnecessary to avoid grains. If you are one of these folks that really feel is that grains aren't healthy and for their pet or for themselves for that matter, then Natural Balance will be for you, because I'm comfortable recommending it to you. So Hill's Natural Balance is a diet that I would highly recommend. Esplin Medical, the maker of premium, environmentally friendly surgical scrub. You can learn more about that at www.esplinmedical.com. They are made of 55% bamboo, 25% cotton, and only 20% poly. Most scrubs that are currently on the market are 65% poly, 25% cotton. They are coarse, they are rough, they don't breathe, they are not pleasant to wear. Let me tell you, because I've had plenty of poly cotton scrubs over the years, this is like wearing pajamas. It's absolutely remarkable. If you are in any medical field where you're wearing scrubs, or you just want to have something to bang around in and lounge around in the house, these scrubs are the outfit for you. EsplinMedical.com. Locally here in Toledo Family Pharmacy, Westgate Family Pharmacy carry these products, and at the Business Expo later this month, which we'll talk about later in the show, Esplin Medical is going to be there selling scrubs in 4 different colors, 5 different styles. So stop by at the Business Expo, and maybe you can buy some there as well. Elanco, the makers of Trifexis and Comfortis, we're still seeing fleas. I had a couple of dogs in this past week that just had lots of fleas on them. The owners had no idea. They had bought Pet Armor at Walmart, so I thought they were safe. Pet Armor just plain and simply doesn't work. It's not as effective as Frontline, and the efficacy of Frontline is somewhat in question if it's not applied absolutely perfectly. Comfortis, which is a once-a-month flea pill, and Trifexis, which is that same once-a-month flea pill plus once-a-month heartworm prevention, are really the next generation, and I strongly encourage you to go in that direction. And then Sylvania Veterinary Hospital, Sylvania Vet, my office, we passed a milestone this past week. March the 5th, 1974 was the day I saw my first clients. The front door wasn't even open yet, so people are coming in the back door, and they had to use a bale of hay to step up into the steps, because all of the footer spaces hadn't been filled in and paved yet. So it was kind of a catch as you can, get it done. I had a quick story about that. I had borrowed a microscope because my new one hadn't been delivered yet, and because I had a dog that I thought that I might have to check its skin for a mange, and wouldn't you know it, here I am, 27 years old, starting my brand new practice, and somebody stole my borrowed microscope out of the car, so I still couldn't check this thing. So that was an inauspicious start for Sylvania Veterinary Hospital, but 39 years doing this, and I'm still having a great time and loving it a lot. I have a question that just dovetailed into the first topic that I was going to talk about on today's show, and so the question is, the local hardware store has started carrying antlers for dog chews. How safe are antlers and things like pig's ears for my dog to chew? Well, the reality is that neither of those are safe. They are They are too hard. They are harder than the teeth. Dogs don't have the sense to not chew hard enough, and they can literally break and crack teeth if they're chewing on that. So the article that I was going to cite was an article on bully sticks, and there's really no politically correct way to stage this, but a bully stick is a cow's penis that has been dried and hardened, and it is really way too hard for a dog. In addition, a study was done, and it was published in one of our journals, about the calorie density of these things. And an inch of a bully stick will contain anywhere from 8 to 22 calories. So a 6 to 8 inch bully stick could have 150 to 160 calories in it. And by golly, that's as much as a half a cup of dog food. So I don't recommend that. I don't recommend any kind of a natural bone, steak bones, cow bones, chicken bones, cow hooves, horse's hooves, pig ears, all that stuff is a no-no because they are just much too hard. So you're going to concentrate. Even an ice cube can be too hard, and it's not recommended that you use an ice cube. We don't want to use nylabones. You want to use hard rubber. You want to use a gummy bone, which is softer and gives when the dog chews on it. And here's a piece of information, because in the common wisdom, it's that rawhides are bad. Well, the reality is that rawhides aren't bad. They digest completely. And the only thing I ask you to do is be a bit careful when you're giving your dog a rawhide, particularly if they're a gulper, so that they don't try to swallow that rawhide whole and get it stuck like a piece of steak in the back of your throat if you try to swallow too big a piece of steak. Happens to people too. That's what they made the Heimlich for. We kind of talked about in the beginning what 1974 brought, and we really had 3 milestones that occurred this year and this month, and that was our opening, of course, in 1974. So 39 years as Sylvania vet. Somehow Sylvania has survived that. Last Friday, we were awarded Best Vet in Northwest Ohio by the Toledo City paper readers and voters in their contest for the 6th consecutive year. That's a milestone of which we're very proud. And then we also crossed the threshold of being 35 years the oldest American Animal Hospital Association inspected and certified hospital. There's only 3. That's kind of appalling to me out of somewhere between 40 and 50 veterinary practices that choose to meet the highest standards of the profession, and everybody else has been less than 10 years. So we got a quarter century lead on all the other practices. That really should be important to you. You need to think about that when you're choosing a veterinarian. There's a disease that is endemic in our area and every dog, in our opinion, should be vaccinated against leptospirosis, and we call that lepto. And over the last several years, when we started to vaccinate against lepto, and then we felt that the immunity we were getting out of the lepto vaccine was just not adequate for an entire year. We would see breaks with animals in the second half of the year, and we started vaccinating against it every 6 months. We were kind of the salmon swimming upstream as it compared to other practices in the area, because there's only one other that I know of that was doing twice yearly lepto vaccines, and there were and still are some practices that don't recommend it. We think that's a really serious oversight. Well, we've just done an extensive study on our vaccine protocol. About 4 years ago, we switched to using Pfizer Animal Health, which has changed its name, and it's now called Zoetis. But we started using their vaccine, very safe, very unreactive, and very, very effective. And so what we have done is we've modified our vaccine protocol. You're the first to know it because we just announced it to the office today that we're going to annual boosters on the lepto. But at the same time, we are very concerned about the spreading incidence of canine influenza virus, and we are going to start vaccinating every dog against canine influenza virus. So we'll talk more about that as we move along. Can't believe it, but it's already time for a break. So we'll see you on the other side. So why is that lepto so important? I left you sitting on the edge of your seats at the break. One, it's potentially communicable to humans, and so that is public health significance, and that justifies, I think, the vaccine all by itself. It can be spread by literally any mammal through their excretions. The primary secretion being their urine, but blood, feces, saliva, all those things are still capable. And deer are the number one spreaders, but you just never know. There's so much wildlife around now. Somebody said they saw foxes in their backyard in downtown Sylvania this past summer. Another client yesterday came in and talked to me about her dog just suddenly coming in, flying into the glass door to get out of the backyard. No idea as to what freaked this dog out, but there was something out there. Could it have been some coyotes that were hoarding on and just frightened the heck out of the dog? Don't know. We never heard anything. We never did figure it out. So leptospirosis is endemic in our area. It means it's everywhere. Southern Michigan as well. Michigan Public Health Department recommends that all dogs be vaccinated against it. Ohio hasn't taken that position, but we certainly do. So that's kind of the beginning and the end of leptospirosis discussion. There was an article in a journal recently that there's a procedure that a lot of humane advocates advocate. It's called TNR, and it's trap, neuter, release. And so feral cats are caught, spayed or neutered, and then turned back in the environment. And we actually have a trap, neuter, release program that we sponsor at Sylvania Vet, and it's a very complete one because we're also testing for feline leukemia and immunodeficiency virus, and we're giving a rabies vaccine, and we're giving a worm injection as well as doing the surgery, and then the animal's released. And so I'm supportive of that, but there is controversy because the cats are predators, and so there's been people that are upset that these TNR animals are being released back in the environment, and then they're affecting the bird population, the rabbit population in the neighborhood. Those of us who've had rabbits destroy their flower garden and their vegetable gardens might not be real concerned about that particular concern, but certainly the beautiful songbirds, the cardinals and the blue jays and the robins that are here, that's certainly a concern to us, but it's a problem that doesn't have a simple answer. I still support a trap, neuter, release as an effective tool for maintaining a stable cat population in a given wild animal population in a neighborhood. There was a way to get rid of these feral cats, I would jump on it, but there doesn't seem to be. That seems to be an ongoing problem that will not be solved in my lifetime. I don't believe. So I do have a printout on that, this whole article, and if you'd like to stop in the office and get the article labeled TNR, you're more than welcome to do that. That's Sylvania Vet, 4801 North Holland, Sylvania. You can call us and ask us to have it ready, 419-885-4421. One of the things that I can't overemphasize that makes me so proud about my office and the commitment that we've made, and basically it's really why we're in business, and that is we're there all the time for the pets of our community and the clients of our community. And when we close at the end of the day, the building is still occupied. A doctor is still on call. Does your veterinarian do that? I would promise you probably not. Do they answer their phones 24/7 so that you can get a medical answer in the middle of the night? That's again proud. But we had a case that came in this week of a cat that went to the emergency clinic on Monday because it had a urethral obstruction. On Tuesday, it was transported to its regular veterinarian. The regular veterinarian left the urinary catheter in, the IV in, ran fluids overnight in this cat, but there was nobody in the building. When they came in, the cat's urinary catheter had kinked, and so it was no longer draining, but the cat had continued to get fluid, so its bladder was way over distended, very stressed. Pulled the catheter out. The cat still could not urinate on its own. They put a catheter in about noon, and then decided the client said, we're transporting to Sylvania Vet. Came in. That catheter that had been put in about noon was also kinked or plugged. It wasn't draining. The bladder, again, was bigger than an orange. Back under anesthesia the third time in 3 days, put a better catheter in, and then we monitored that cat overnight, and it's going home today, now recovered. But without the overnight care, you could see what happens. It's not responsible to leave a cat or a dog in a hospital unattended with a urinary catheter and an IV catheter and fluids running without continuous support. Bad things can happen. And so we strongly encourage you to think about that when you're choosing a veterinarian. We had a dog in this week. For the last several months, we've been battling a lameness that seems to bounce around in this dog, and we're battling this lameness. We look back in our notes, and from way back when, and our groomer found a tick on this dog. Client, of course, doing their due diligence, came in and suggested, is it possible that my dog could have Lyme disease? Well, we had done a blood test on this dog in the spring of last year, and it was negative. We didn't know about the tick, and so, that is a possibility. So we tested it, and lo and behold, I'm going to hire this client. She was right. And the dog does have Lyme disease, and so we started the treatment on that. And that just emphasizes the importance of if you live in a high tick area, we need to do something about tick management, that's for sure. The things that we recommend that you're still going to use Trifexis. And then for tick management, if your dog has ever had a tick, or you live in an area where you're concerned about ticks, or you're going to vacation where ticks are a possibility, you're taking your dog east, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, any of those places, upstate New York or Wisconsin, Minnesota, those are high evidence for Lyme disease. And we obviously see it in this area as well. They get Lyme disease vaccine. They wear a tick collar. And the collar that we recommend is Scalibor. There's a new collar on the market. We're looking into it. We don't know it yet, so I'll bring it up on another PetSylvania. But right now, Scalibor is our number one recommendation. It's safe for people. There's no toxicity on the human side. It will repel ticks. It will kill ticks, repel mosquitoes, and it will kill fleas to some degree. So the combination of a 6-month Scalibor collar and year-round flea and heartworm control is by far the best way to approach that. Dogs sometimes get a condition that we call lick granuloma, and it's a form of obsessive compulsive behavior. It's a dog who picks a spot on where it's easy for them to reach on the front, usually on the front leg down near the feet, or on the back leg on the inside near what we call the ankle or the hock, and they start licking. And it may start because of a mosquito bite, or it may start because of a little scratch, but they get working at it, and then they just get obsessive about it, and they keep going. And we see this raw, thick, raised lump on the skin that it may or may not cause the dog discomfort, but it's certainly disconcerting to see that, and it's really aggravating if you're sitting there and your dog is continuously licking and licking. So that's called a lick granuloma. And the keys to lick granuloma are to enrich the dog's life. Let's get it some exercise. Let's distract it. Let's minimize its stress that's causing it to develop an obsessive compulsive behavior. We use a solution called Danny Scott solution that we make. Danny Scott is a veterinary dermatologist that developed this formula. It works really well. It has a product called DMSO in it, which helps the anti-inflammatory, which is steroid, and the antibiotic penetrate deep into the lick granuloma and reduce the inflammation and discourage the dog from licking at it. And then you got to cover it. You got to put some kind of a cover on so that it can't get at it. Well, it's time for a break again, and then we'll be back on the other side. Here we go. So again, we had a question today. I love it. So make sure you use that request line, requests@wsylradio.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions on the air. Things to kind of fill you in. We sell a product, and they're sold in many places, called mutt mitts. These are the things that the responsible pet owner carries with them when they're walking their dog, so that if they poo in your neighbor's front yard or on the sidewalk, you can pick it up. And the thing that's nice about mutt mitts, other than carrying the Blades newspaper bag, is that mutt mitts are biodegradable. And so when you pick it up, it's a nice secure way to do that. Invert it, tie it up real tight, and then you can throw it in the garbage. It's going to go to the landfill, and we know that plastic's going to break down. And regular polyethylene plastic bags will live 400 years in the ground before they ultimately deteriorate. We sell a product called Lupine. It's a collar and a leash system. It's guaranteed for life. It's unbelievable. These are they're great quality product. If your dog chews chews its leash in half, the Lupine Company, no questions asked, will replace that leash with a brand new one. And there seems to be no limit. We have had clients into their fourth and fifth generation of free collars. I have no idea how they make any money doing that, but they have a really nice, well-padded, good-sized loop handle that makes it easy for you to use. So, walking your dog is good for both ends of the leash. We want it to be comfortable. I had a really nice experience last night. My wife's been out of town. I went out to dinner, and I go to a variety of places, usually in Sylvania. There's a new restaurant in South Briar Shopping Center at Convent in Maine called B. Gump's, and it's owned by a guy by the name of Brian Gump. Food is very reasonably priced. The bar bill is very reasonable as well. Their glass of really good quality wine was $5, and the menu is really unique. There's a lot of interesting things on the menu. I had a really terrific fillet. I would encourage you to go give B. Gump's a try. I'm old enough to know about a group called Little Anthony and the Imperials. Those of you that are probably younger than 50 may not know about Little Anthony and the Imperials, but they were popular back in the 50s and the 60s. Well, Little Anthony has retired, and the Imperials are hanging in there, and so now it's Little Eddie and the Imperials, and they are coming to B. Gump's on Sunday, March 24th to perform, and it's I think it would be a lot of fun, and I'm going to try to make that. I think that it would be very enjoyable, and you ought to try to make a date to go hear Little Eddie and the Imperials. And I'm sure they're still singing all the Little Anthony songs, which were all those doo-wop songs of the 50s and 60s. I want to thank Elanco, makers of Trifexis and Comfortis. I want to thank Hills for supporting us. The game changer in weight loss diets called Metabolic Diet is coming soon. We're getting a lunch and learn for our staff on Tuesday, and after that, we hope to be able to ramp up and change. If your animal has been on a diet, has not been able to lose weight, or is obese and needs to lose weight, the metabolic diet may very well be the way to go. Esplin Medical, makers of a premium, high-quality, environmentally friendly bamboo cotton polyester scrub that is dries with cool air, washes in cold water, is stain resistant, antibacterial, is at www.esplinmedical.com. Of course, Sylvania Vet, my office, and we want to invite you to come and take a tour anytime. One of the good times to come would be our Adopt-a-thon, March the 10th. It's a Sunday from 12 to 3. Please come in, take a look for area rescues will be there. Come meet us and get some freebies at the Business Expo at Tam-o'-Shanter from 9 till 3 on Saturday, March 23rd. Tam-o'-Shanter's on Sylvania Avenue. And then for those of you that have lost a pet and are feeling the struggle of that loss, we do sponsor a grief counseling group with a trained grief counselor that meets every month at Christ Presbyterian Church. This month's session is Tuesday, March the 12th at 7 p.m. You're welcome to come. There's no charge for this. You don't have to be a Sylvania Vet client. It's another way that we reach out to the community and try to help people with all aspects of their pet care. So with that said, there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home.
You have been listening to PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.